This landscape photography shoot that I'm about to go on might be one of the most interesting landscape shoots that I might ever be on. And it's for one reason and one reason only, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's episode. So stick around and let's jump right in. What is up, y'all? It is your Project Photography back with another video, and today we have an incredibly special landscape photography shoot today, because this is not going to be your ordinary landscape photography. Today is actually a paid shoot from my hometown that they hired my company at Co-op Content Design. You know, it's down in the description below if you want to go check it out. That's a company I run. But they hired us in order to come out here and do some landscape photography for the city that I grew up in. And it's really crazy, to be honest, because I want to say about 6 or 5 years ago is when I actually started doing photography as a whole. I was a junior in high school. Now I'm graduated from college. And this exact park is actually where I took my first real photography images. And when I say real photography images, I mean images that I actually went out and shot when I decided, you know what, I'm actually going to do photography. And this was the exact place where I started it. And now I'm coming back here in order to do paid landscape photography, which just sounds absolutely insane, because you don't think that landscape photography is something where you can actually get paid for and make a living out of. But I think this job right here proves that if there is a need for your services, you know, you can make a living out of it totally. Now, I'm not gonna go into too further the details. The only thing I'm really gonna say is that for this shoot, they hired us to come out here for about 2 hours, and we are getting paid about $500. So that is actually how much we are getting paid to come out here and do this shoot. So I'm actually incredibly excited. We're gonna be capturing a ton of different images, and the images that we capture are gonna be just so much more different than my normal landscape photography, and for a few reasons. The first reason is that when I'm actually gonna be out here shooting, I don't have to necessarily just focus on like the perfect lighting possible and shoot maybe 1 or 2 images. My goal today is to get about 30 images, which if you guys have done landscape photography and or have watched me, you know is absolutely insane. Today, we're not gonna be focusing on the absolute perfect image all the time. We're gonna be focusing on the best composition and the best way to showcase how beautiful this park actually is without having to worry about, you know, is the sun gonna be at this exact level? Of course, we're gonna wait for the sun to go down a little more. So yeah, guys, this is honestly just so, I really feel like I need to take this in, because you know, this might not seem like a big job for some of you guys, but for me, who's been doing this for years, I mean, I've been doing it for 6 years now, and it's just really incredible that I can do this for a living, and it's just so absolutely insane. But if you guys actually want to hear about, you know, my journey as a business owner in photography and give you guys some business tips to help you launch your photography careers, let me know, because I'd be more than happy to share the information that I've learned and maybe help some of you guys start on your journey to becoming a freelance full-time photographer. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, let me know down in the comment section down below, and we can make that into some sort of channel or do something with it. So anyways, guys, yeah, let's get started and take a look around and cue the B-roll. Something else that I really love about my city, especially this park in particular, is that the trails here are honestly really beautiful, and honestly just some of my favorite trails in the world. I mean, if you just look over here, right, like this is a beautiful view. And other areas that I kind of want to highlight would be like down here. I think these baseball fields are pretty cool. And here's the thing, is that when I'm shooting this, it's definitely a different sort of landscape photography, because I wouldn't normally be incorporating a lot of these man-made elements into my photography, even though they actually would make really nice landscape images. So I feel like being able to shoot for a client, and I'm given a lot of creative flexibility in terms of showcasing what I want to showcase. I feel like being able to, you know, shoot for this client, and something I guess that's really nice about shooting for like the city is that there's so much more to the landscape, what people find important than just, you know, pure nature by itself. I can incorporate a lot of these man-made objects and make really interesting landscapes that I feel like I wouldn't necessarily think about when I was shooting just regular landscape photography. So yeah, guys, with that being said, I think it's time to actually start shooting. I feel like the sun's going down, probably wait a little more, but I feel like we're gonna get some really incredible images. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna put you guys on my GoPro to get a POV, first person point of view. And yeah, let's get some landscape images for my first freelance photography shoot as a landscape photographer. All right, y'all, we are now behind the scenes, behind the camera. I'm gonna give you a little bit of commentary over what I'm shooting and my thought process behind how I'm gonna be capturing these images. So one thing I really wanna highlight is just the beautiful area around the park. And for me, this is one area that I really like, showcasing this school right here. And then one thing that I found that's kind of difficult about this area is that it's pretty high contrast, so there's a lot of the highlights that are really prominent and strong, and then the shadows are pretty deep down. So I feel like a lot of the photos might look a little over processed because I had to do a lot in Lightroom in order to get the colors and the lighting to be evenly matched. So with that being said, let's move on here. And I really like this area over here a lot. This is the top of the trail, and what I'm doing here is highlighting these sort of reservoirs over here, and I want to use the flowers as a foreground element, but not in a traditional way that a normal foreground element would go. I just want to make it kind of a prominent feature in the landscape. So as you can see, it kind of takes up a lot of the real estate on the left hand side. And this is the edited version. I think this is a little bit more one of the subtle edits because we don't have as high contrast because the sun isn't right in our face. So we go ahead and pick up here, and I kind of want to highlight those reservoirs just a little bit more because I feel like they're really interesting subject matter that I don't really normally shoot. So what we're going to go ahead and do is use these sort of stakes here on the left hand side in order to use it as a leading line in order to guide your eye from the left hand side of the frame up to the top where these reservoirs are. So again, not as high contrast because we're not shooting directly into the sun, which gives it a more natural look, I think. And I actually like this photo a lot. I think it gives a lot of context, and I think we have a really beautiful sky up there. So I think it's just a really nice combination of a bunch of different elements. And that's kind of what I'm talking about in showcasing, you know, the man-made objects in the park that I'm shooting at and showcasing like how it can be absolutely beautiful. Those are my main subject matters, and you normally wouldn't use a man-made subject like that as your normal subject matter, but for me, when I'm shooting these landscapes for the client, it just makes a lot more sense to do that. So what we're gonna do right here is actually showcasing, you know, the view from where you can see from over here, and what we can see is actually a bit of the LA city, which is actually really incredible from where I am, and you can see it from a lot of different places in the city that I live in. So we're going to capture this image right here, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually crop the image so that LA is more in the center, and go ahead and give it an edit. I don't edit a lot of the colors because I just feel like color wise is pretty good. It's more just like adjusting the exposure and then obviously cropping it a little bit further. I really like that image a lot. I think it showcases a lot of the different views that you can get from this park, and there's a lot of them. I mean, this one right here is also especially beautiful. It's kind of similar playing to one of my previous images. Again, you get that really high contrast, which makes it so that it's really difficult to edit. Makes it look just slightly more over processed, but I don't think it's that bad. I actually like the image a lot. You get some nice colors here, and it's a little more muted in terms of colors, but I think that we come up with a good image. So we go ahead and move on here, and what we're going to go ahead and do is actually just pick up and move over just slightly. We're actually going to be shooting this mountain here in the background because, you know, you can see the mountains from here, and that's kind of why I was put on this project, in order to shoot the mountains. But for me, I think something that was difficult is the fact that there's a lot of overcast that day, so you couldn't see the mountains. So images like this were the best that I can get. But again, it's really showcasing the views that you're able to see from the park, and I think it's just absolutely gorgeous. I can only do so much when it came to making sure the exposure is adjusted, but I think it looks pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and move on here, and I already have my tripod and camera set up. I just kind of forgot to record, so I go ahead and put my GoPro on, and this is the image that we capture. Now this is probably one of my favorite images because I feel like we use a lot of these man-made objects really well. For starters, I think the stairs give a really nice sense of like downward movement in the image, and then contrasted with it being on the right hand side and the school on the left, it kind of fills up a lot of those gaps really nicely. And of course, we're showcasing the beautiful sun as well as how the clouds look that day. So it's one of my favorite images, and I think we use those man-made objects really well. So we'll go ahead and pick up here. I did shoot a vertical orientation image here, but it's honestly the same concept. I just want to give my clients some options in terms of like what they wanted. So we're going to be bringing out the telephoto lens again, and we're going to be isolating more of those mountains in the background because I think that's a big focal point that you can really see from this park. And I think we do a pretty good job here, and this is the edited version. And I think we were able to capture a really decent image. I mean, I was honestly working with what I had, because in the foreground, you could actually see some other things that I really just didn't want there, like light poles and so forth. So I think this is as good as it's gonna get in terms of composition we can grab. Go ahead and move on. And I think what we're gonna do is moving more into the wide angle side of things with this lens. And with this 24-200, you know, we can kind of work with a 24mm focal length, which would be more on the wide side, of course. But of course, it's not like a 14mm. But I think in this case, it actually does give a nice sense of compression to the image, because with that foreground, it's a lot of these like sort of weeds and, you know, shrubbery. And I don't think it would have really made sense to actually use a wider lens in this, because we would have got more of that in the frame, and it wouldn't necessarily made the background any nicer. So I think a 24mm on the wide end was actually perfectly fine for this. And I really like the colors in this image. I think they really pop, and they're very vibrant. And that's actually it for today. There was more images that I captured, obviously, but I didn't really want to show all of them. And here are the images that I really like from this shoot, and some of them might not actually have been showcased, but these are just the ones I personally like. So anyways, guys, let me know what's your favorite image down in the comment section down below, and let's get right back to the video. All right, y'all, so that is essentially it for all the images I'm going to be taking today. I'm actually very happy with how the images came out. I guess I would have to go and look and edit them, but from what I've seen, they actually looked really good. Hopefully the city likes them a lot. I have 2 more shoots actually after this, not today, but just in general, to shoot some other locations around the city. Let me know what you think about me actually doing some business photography related videos, showing you guys the ins and outs of how we run our photography business, and hopefully give you guys some tips on how to start your own photography business, because there's nothing more liberating than running your own business, being your own boss, and doing something you enjoy and you're good at in the meantime. So yeah, guys, check out Co-op Content Design. That is the website. That is my company's name. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for experiencing the world with me today. Please feel free to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.